Alex, thank you very much for being here today. It's a pleasure speaking to you. Before we get to the topic that we're going to talk about here today, can you please tell us a little bit more about your company?
Sure. So we have spent the last 10 years or so building operational expertise. My background is in real estate, and I think it's become apparent in the last 3 to 5 years especially that so-called value add is not just re-gearing with like CapEx and you can make 2x on your money. You really need operational expertise, operational intensity in your business. If you build the business, make that successful, there is a thing that's attached to it that will accrue in value. So that's where we see the real opportunity in the next few years, and that's where we're focusing on. In particular, student housing and self-storage. That's where we have our track record, and that's where we see the potential to build really sustainable income going forward.
We have something in common, and we were just talking about this a little before this interview, is that the GRI, we believe that we should give more and more attention to the Middle East. So we have been talking to a lot of players from the region. We want to bring more members from the Middle East. But you are far ahead. You have been traveling a lot to Dubai and establish a local presence, understanding the market, mapping the players, understanding what's going on there. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's the plan?
Sure. So we historically invested for a group of individuals who are now sort of reaching that time of their life where they'd rather have the money than the cash than it's set up there. So we thought, okay, where can we raise our next pool of capital from in a slightly, let's call it, tense environment in Europe? America is only looking inwards at the moment. And so we looked to the Middle East. We spent some time in Dubai. We looked at the DIFC. It's very busy. It's like going to Portobello Market on a Saturday. Lots of shouting, lots of noise. You've got the big guys that have got traction there. A lot of small guys sort of running around, not really achieving anything. The regulatory environment there is also very busy, and I think has just kind of overcooked over the last 5 to 10 years. We then took the hour and a half long drive to Abu Dhabi, and it's sort of night and day. It's English law, ADGM, Abu Dhabi Global Market. The regulator is very proficient. They've seen what's happened in Dubai. They thought, we want to be like Dubai, but we want to learn from their mistakes. So we won't overexpand too quickly or hire enough people. We'll only allow the business we want to develop in Abu Dhabi. And so we've been on the journey to establish a fund there, which we have done. Been very impressed with the local expertise. I think a lot of Europeans moved out there, saw the potential 5 years ago. And so far, so good. You know, there's a lot of capital out there. I think the one thing I would say, though, it's a little bit of a myth that sort of if you turn up and open your wallet, people will stuff money in it. You really need to spend time out there. You need to build trust. You need to build a local presence. And then sort of like attrition, over time, people will start putting you in their diary. They'll start accepting you. And that's about the position we're in at the moment.
Yeah, it requires a lot of resilience and it's hard work.
Yeah, I think that's right. The feedback we've had from the big guys who one day we aspire to become is it's an incredibly difficult fundraising environment. But I think I would say to them, if your MO is to send 5 mid-level guys to Dubai for a week and come home, that doesn't work.
Yes.
You need that local presence. You need to be there week after week after week so that someone can say, okay, I like what I've heard. Come and meet my cousin. Come and meet my business partner next week. You need to be there in front of people.
Interesting. And what's the idea? What's the size of the fund? And I assume you raise capital there to deploy here in Europe, where you have the expertise?
That's right. So we've built up expertise in Italy for student housing and in the DACH region, so Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, and self-storage. We think the Middle East is looking for exposure in Europe, but wants that door locally that they can knock on if they have any issues. Hopefully just to shake our hands and say thanks so much for raising lots of money and making us lots of money. But otherwise, they want that local presence there. And so the idea is bring that capital from the Middle East, give them exposure to Europe in a regulated environment.
Interesting. And do you see possibility in the future by being there present and knowing what's going on there, to bring any of this type of asset classes to the housing or self-storage to the region as well. Because this is not something that you find everywhere there, right?
No, this is a really exciting point for us. I mean, especially as more expats are moving to the Middle East, actually as more locals realize you don't necessarily need to send your kids to Switzerland or the UK for good education. A lot of the universities are actually out in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. You drive past big Canadian campuses, American campuses, Swiss campuses. So we think, let's meet the investors, let's get to know the environment, and then absolutely let's use what we've learned in Europe. And so long as it transposes to the local culture, let's apply it there.
Fantastic. Alex, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Very inspirational, and I hope we see you doing very well in raising a lot of money in the region.
Thanks.